Welcome! Hello! Hey there! Ahoy! Some people wonder if their pets go to heaven when they die. Sometimes we wonder just what made the cat rush around the living room, almost climbing the walls, yowling all the way. Or why the dog is sitting, barking at the front door, even if no one is there. What are our pets seeing that we can't?
I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe in spirits. Ghosts are the souls of people who haven't been able to cross over to the afterlife. Spirits, on the other hand, have crossed over, but choose to return to our world to comfort those in need. And I find at Halloween, the veil between our world and the supernatural is quite thin, allowing spirits to cross over with ease. The truth is, I didn't believe in spirits until I adopted Maisie, a nightmare of a dog. Her first owners bred her many times and kept her locked up in the house. After Maisie was older and unable to have more puppies, my friend Bev adopted her. They had a beautiful relationship for a couple years, but then Bev got cancer and died. So Maisie moved in with me when she was about 10 years old. She was scared of everything and peed all over the house. I tried to comfort her, but one Halloween, a terrifying holiday for most dogs, something happened. Instead of freaking out over the trick-or-treaters ringing the doorbell, Maisie sat facing the corner of the room and wagged her tail like she saw someone she knew. The next day she was back to her anxious self, barking and peeing. That year her health declined and soon she was completely blind and deaf. Though I didn't love this dog, I waited a couple months before I took Maisie back to the vet. She was in a lot of pain and it was time to say goodbye. As we walked into the vet's office, Maisie acted like she was possessed by the devil, running around and bumping into things. Desperately, I cried, "Bev, if you can hear me, would you please comfort your dog?" Maisie stopped barking. She waddled over to the corner of the room, wagging her tail, like maybe Bev was standing there. Maisie lay down on the floor and she closed her eyes, wagged her tail a couple times, and fell asleep. The vet gave the dog the final injection, and Maisie's spirit was gone. She was ready to go, the vet told me. I said goodbye to Maisie and returned to my home decorated with pumpkins, skeletons, bats, and spiders. That night, I swear I heard Maisie's barking. But that's impossible, isn't it? Because I don't believe in ghosts.
My tale is a spine-chilling story from my childhood of old houses, attic doors, and dirty boots. While I slept through the worst parts, my mother and father were certainly pretty upset by the entire incident. We moved into Haight House when I was 3 and my sister a newborn. My little brother would come along just a year later. It was a huge barn-red farmhouse planted in the middle of endless cornfields in Midwestern Illinois. Before moving in, my father had walked through the house alone. As he entered the front door, he looked up a long staircase with a rickety banister that led to the second floor. To his right was the master bedroom. To the left was the living room. The kitchen was in the back of the house. Upstairs, the banister wound around a long hall, becoming a rail over the stairwell. At the top of the stairs, to the right, was a small room that I shared with my brother. Turning left, my father passed a door that opened into the space under the slope of the roof. We called this the attic. Going down the hall, turning left again, he came to the big room. Another large bedroom, a duplicate of and directly above my parents' bedroom. As my father walked back from the big room, he paused and opened the door which led into the attic. The afternoon sun shone in from the window at the end of the hall, so that when he opened that door, a beam of light reflected against the wooden beams and planks under the shingles of the roof. In that spot of light, my father saw the silhouette of a man hanging by the neck from a roof beam, swinging slightly. There was no man hung there, but my father found the cut-off end of a piece of rope tied around that beam. My mother, on hearing this, decided she would never enter the attic, and so she didn't. The door was nailed closed to keep the kids out, and that was that. Haight House was noisy. It was in the middle of nowhere, fully exposed, and the wind blowing across the hundreds of acres of open cornfields made the wooden structure rock and creak. The stairs were especially noisy when someone went up or down. The shaky banister moved of its own accord, and often. We ignored these sounds. They were part of the rusted symphony of an aging farmhouse. One summer, my parents thought it would be nice if I slept in the big room, giving me privacy from having shared that tiny bedroom with my little brother for so many years. I moved into the room as soon as school let out. There was a rug on the floor that didn't quite reach the walls. A large, heavy wooden bed with the head against the wall and the foot firmly set on the rug. Of course, all my boy things, toys and books and shoes and clothes scattered about on the floor. The noise started the first night I slept in the big room. My mother was awakened by the sound of someone pacing back and forth across the floor in my room. The steps were heavy and loud, as if she said the walker were wearing hobnailed boots. She sent my father up to tell me to get back in bed and let her sleep. When he entered the room, he found me twisted in my bedclothes, snoring. He returned to bed to find his wife also sound asleep. I had a dream of a tall, sad-looking older man walking from the door of the big room, pausing to look out the window, then continuing to the door that led to the attic. The old man opened that door and went in. I had that dream night after night. My mother woke a few nights later to the same slow, heavy pacing on my bedroom floor. She listened to the sound, wondered how those boots could stamp so clearly on the wooden floor when she knew there was a carpet covering it. The steps crossed the room from side to side. Then they walked to the door of the big room and began to pace along the upstairs hall. They stopped suddenly. She thought perhaps in front of the attic door. She woke my father and told him that there was someone in the house. My father again climbed the creaky stairs, being sure to put his weight on the outer edges so that they would screech less. The first thing he noticed in the spillover of moonlight entering from the window was that the attic door, which had been nailed shut, was now hanging open. As he passed the attic door towards the big room, his bare feet crushed small clods of earth on the floor, as if someone had walked there with dry mud on their boots. When my father entered my room, he again found me soundly sleeping. However, once his eyes were used to the dim moonlight, he saw all of my boy things scattered on the floor, an impossible obstacle course for the pacing my mother had heard. He also saw that the carpet that once covered the floor had been rolled to the wall without disturbing the toys and books scattered about, without disturbing the foot of the large, heavy wooden bed that had rested firmly upon it. He took me up in his arms, took me down to sleep on the sofa, and I was moved back into the smaller room with my brother the next day.